my life of self-isolation as a TRU student. Every day I start by putting on a new outfit. Getting out of pajamas really helps me to stay motivated and really helps me to get to work, as well as making my bed. That's always something I have to do every morning so that I can get a good start on my day. After I get up, I always have something to eat in the morning, whether that be a piece of toast, some cereal, just something to get in my stomach so that I can feel fulfilled and ready to take on the day. After eating breakfast, I did my hair and makeup today. I don't do it every day, but I just thought that because I have a Zoom meeting today that I look nice for it, and also it can be a bit of a confidence booster to do your makeup and hair every once in a while, so that also helps. So every day I usually have an alarm set for 9 a.m. and usually I get up between 9 and 10. This is really helpful for me to continue to have a routine. Sometimes I feel like we can get in a bit of a slog and just stay in bed all day, but getting up early helps me to get a bit of work done, which I'm hoping to do today before my Zoom meeting. Thanks. Zoom calls are really great because it's an awesome way to stay in touch with classmates and professors. Now, because the semester's over, we're mostly just touching base with each other, but it's really nice because it's a great way to socialize and also a great way to check up on the people you care about that you've spent most of your semester with. After my Zoom meeting, I've gone out to buy some groceries for the week. Just a reminder to only go out as one person. You don't need to bring your whole family to go shopping if you don't have to, and also to buy local. So if you can, help stimulate our economy by buying local, and also only going out once a week to buy groceries and just making sure you pick up what you need. It also helps to make a meal plan for yourself or your family so that you can prepare and only grab what you need when you do go out shopping. After spending some time at the grocery store and having some lunch, I'm just gonna take a break and read a little bit of some books, as we probably all have books that we've bought but we haven't had the chance to read yet. So this is something fun that I like to do to also relax and keep my brain activated as well. After doing some reading and a little bit of relaxing, it's time to do a chore, and that means it's doing the dishes. After doing the dishes, it's time to get a little more work done today. So right now I'm at my desk doing some more work. And just another tip is that it's important to have separate workspaces. So I like to work at my desk in my bedroom instead of out in the living room where the TV is, because I find that I can get easily distracted by the TV if we're in the same room. Now, before I make dinner, it's time to get on my yoga mat and do a little bit of yoga. Usually I actually go for a walk during the day for some exercise, but it was a bit colder today, so I thought I would stay in, do a bit of yoga, just to get a little physical during the day, which is really good for your mental health as well. After a nice little yoga practice, it's time for dinner. The nice thing about being home a lot more is that we're able to make our own food and eat at home more. During school, I think a lot of us find ourselves eating out more often, so it's nice to have a home-cooked meal more often now. So tonight we're having buttered chicken with rice and some naan bread, so I encourage you to cook at home more as well. After dinner, usually every night, I settle down in my living room and I watch a movie. It's just another great way to relax at the end of a long day, and then right after that I usually go to bed. So thank you guys for tuning in on my day in the life of a TRU student in quarantine. A little bit more about me. I'm a TRU student, obviously, and I'm in the Bachelor of Journalism program, and I'm also getting a minor in theater. Hopefully I'll be around next year as well, so if you see me on campus, don't hesitate to say hi. And I hope you guys are all staying safe, and I wish you luck with the end of your semester. Thanks.
And welcome to our session today. We will be starting in another 5 minutes. I just wanted to welcome you all, and we're just going to give a little bit time for the rest of our students and partners and families to join this session. Just to give you a quick idea, this is going to be a short update on our COVID-19 related scenarios with the fall intake semester. If you have your family around, do invite them to join this session as well. We would love to address your families and agents as well as partners. We're more than happy to connect with you today as well. So we're just going to watch one more video and then we will get started with our session today. I hope you are all doing very well, and yeah, just stay tuned. We will be started shortly.
Hi, my name's Kazia. I moved down from Williams Lake to finish my degree in English and ended up switching to the Bachelor of Fine Arts. So typically I park way over in Lot M, and then I walk across campus to Old Main to the Visual Arts Department. Here we're in Old Main Student Street, which you get your coffee from Starbucks, which is right beside the theater, and then you head down towards the gallery into the Visual Arts Department. Here we have the art gallery, where students are able to show their work. They're able to put on shows, which involves choosing the work that you want to showcase throughout other students. There's also the faculty show and silent auctions. So I've had a variety of work shown over the number of years that I've been here. At the end of the school year, there's also the graduating exhibition. So throughout your fourth year, you spend the year creating your body of works, and it gets shown in the gallery and throughout the rest of the studios. So in between classes or during class, you get a break. Typically in painting, we hang out around in the hallway, sit on the floor, eat your lunch, talk about painting or how much you really don't want to be painting. So when you do feel like painting, you come into the painting studio. It's probably the best studio to work in. It's one of the largest, it's quiet, and when there's a lot of people in here, you don't necessarily interfere with each other. It's also the space where I did some of my largest work. So I would take canvas and I would staple it directly to the wall and then paint on it there. This is the wood shop. In here I learned how to use the jigsaw, the table saw, and the miter saw. But there are various classes where you get to learn to use the power tools as well as hand tools. I primarily built canvas stretchers for my painting class. This is the lighting studio. It's the space where the majority of photography classes happen. It's also the room that students can book to use the lights and the backdrops. There's also a lighting table that at one point I cracked eggs on and poured oil over tulips, and they turned out pretty cool. So this is the small darkroom. When I was a work-study student, I would come in here a couple times a week and fill the jugs and the trays with the chemistry to develop your photos. As always, you add your water first and then your chemicals, and then you just give the tray a bit of a rock to mix everything up. And then this was my favorite station because it's right by the sink. This is the film room. This is where you come to develop your film. You put your roll into this container, and then you get to use the various chemistry to develop your film. This is the black room, where you come to take your film and put it into the little roll. It's probably the hardest part of developing film. Almost every single time I go to develop film, I drop my roll on the floor. And this is where I spend the majority of my time. So when you're developing a mural photo, the exposure time can be anywhere between 4 minutes and 15. That's a long time to hang around and do nothing. So I recently joined Lindy and the Loop Swing Dance Society. They're a club on campus. So I'd turn on my swing music and I would dance while I wait for my photos to expose. So this is the 2D Foundations room. It's the room where if you are taking any art classes at all, you will be in here. It's where you do your most experimenting. You get to try out a wide variety of practices, and you also learn the basics about a lot of tools, art practice, and just being creative in general. All right, that's it. We're done. Thanks.
joining us today in this session. We will now get started with our updates for COVID-19. Just to give you an idea of what we're looking at today, we will first take a quick peek into the updates for fall 2020, followed by a quick introduction to TRU's International Training Center transition program, and that will be followed by a Q&A. This is an open town hall. We welcome your questions. So feel free to start posting your questions in the comment section, and then we will answer them as we go. Once again, we do not tolerate any spams, any trolls. Please be mindful of what you're posting there. We do have a team dedicated to control the chat window. So please make sure that you're not adding to our work, and actually, just don't post unnecessary comments. I think we've had this challenge before. So as I mentioned, this is the second session of our series of COVID-19 and fall 2020 related session. And the next presenter we have here is Rayanne Rickett, who is the manager for international marketing. And we are going to request Rayanne to present on the COVID-19 updates. So just give me a second here while I bring Rayanne on.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for our second live update on YouTube. I hope you and your families have all been keeping well during this pandemic. Before we start taking your questions, we just want to provide you with a few updates to help you prepare for the fall 2020 admissions. You should have received some of this information last week by email. We know that many of you are still waiting to sit for IELTS and may be stressed about how you will provide proof of English in time for registration. So we're happy to share that TRU has now approved Duolingo as an acceptable English proficiency test for admission and ESL placement purposes at TRU. This applies to all undergraduate programs and some master's programs. Duolingo is currently in place as a pilot until December 31st. For applications submitted before December 31st, Duolingo will be accepted. Duolingo is not yet accepted for MBA, Masters of Environmental Economics, or Master of Nursing programs, as they all require higher language requirements. You can see from the chart on the slide that a score of 110 or higher with Duolingo will allow you to start academic classes directly. If you score lower, you may be required to take some ESL classes on arrival. Anyone who places in level 4 or 5 ESL will be able to take a combination of both ESL and academic classes. The Duolingo test is available to everyone 24/7, 365 days a year, and no appointment is needed to take the test. You can take it safely at home in an hour or less, and you'll have the results within 2 days. So we highly recommend this option if you are needing English testing. The pandemic has created significant delays and uncertainties for students, so we've extended our fall 2020 application deadline for most programs to June 1st for international students. We hope this will allow students who haven't been able to submit complete applications time to do so. Later applications may also be considered if seats are available and study permit processing times allow. TRU might defer your application if there's insufficient time for you to arrive, so please remember to check your visa processing times if you're submitting a late application. If you need help with your application, please work with your agent, or if you don't have one, you can contact us directly. As I mentioned, TRU is now accepting the Duolingo English test as an alternative for IELTS and TOEFL for most programs. TRU may also process and issue conditional offer letters to applicants for open admission programs while you're preparing for your English test. We strongly encourage you to submit your test scores before August 1st if you can. If your test scores cannot be submitted prior to arrival, we can offer the option to write the TRU English placement test upon arrival. Based on the results, additional ESL courses may be required. If Canada's borders remain closed, students may need to defer until proof of English can be provided. Due to the pandemic, some students have had difficulty obtaining final grades and official transcripts. It is best if complete documentation is received prior to issuing a final letter of acceptance. However, given the current situation, TRU will process applications for all open programs with interim program completion documents. In these cases, students must ensure that they meet or exceed the minimum requirements for the program applied to and provide documents at least 1 week before the start of orientation week. Students who fail to provide these documents as proof that they meet the minimum requirements for their program will not be allowed to attend classes, and their admission may be deferred to the next available intake. Or if possible, we may recommend an alternative program option for you. In some cases, your conditional offer letter may have a deadline that has passed for payment. We know that the pandemic has made it difficult for many of you to meet your payment deadline, so we are extending the deadline to June 15th in most cases. Please keep in mind, though, that in some countries this deadline may not give you enough time to apply for your study permit, so we suggest that payments be submitted as soon as possible so that a final letter can be issued and your study permit application process can get started. TRU is moving forward with plans for our fall intake, and applications are currently open for most programs. We are working closely with the Ministry of Advanced Education, Skills and Training and following the Provincial Health Authority's guidance as we prepare for the fall semester. In all of our plans, the health and well-being of students, staff, and faculty is a priority above all other considerations. We can assure you that we will be offering our full breadth of courses this fall and are committed to delivering a quality educational experience for all learners regardless of the delivery model. For many programs, alternative delivery will continue this fall. Currently, in response to the current provincial guidance, we are planning to move forward with face-to-face course delivery where possible, especially for courses where experiential learning is required. As we transition towards face-to-face classes, we will follow all provincial directives to develop a responsible model that will support both students' academic experience and safety, and also takes into account the Provincial Health Office's guidelines for physical distancing and group sizes. We will keep you informed as these plans develop, and meanwhile, please check tru.ca/COVID-19 for all COVID-19 related updates. The IRCC is currently processing applications and issuing study permits. However, travel restrictions into Canada are still in place. So even if you have received your study permit, please hold off on making any travel plans at this point. If you haven't already started your study permit application process, IRCC is encouraging students to submit applications digitally. It's also recommended that applications be submitted early to avoid delays. Visa processing times may be longer than expected due to the pandemic, so act quickly if you can. The deadline for submitting biometrics has been extended from 30 to 90 days, so if you haven't done that yet, there may still be time. And these deadlines may be flexible, but again, early applications are encouraged. There has been no announcement regarding the fall semester at this time in relation to postgrad work permits. However, students who were studying in Canada and whose classes were moved online for the spring and summer semesters are not being penalized with regards to their postgrad work permit eligibility. This includes the length of their work permit that they'll be eligible for, provided that they've spent at least 50% of their time studying in Canada. If you have any questions about study permits or postgrad work permits, please visit the IRCC website. BC has been successfully practicing social distancing for several weeks now, and it is paying off. The rate of new diagnoses has slowed down, and most cases are linked to previous outbreaks at contained facilities. On May the 6th, BC's Premier announced the BC Restart Plan. This plan allows for the slow and careful reopening of our economy starting in mid-May. The plan emphasizes the need to continue to responsibly practice social distancing and personal hygiene to maintain our success in curbing the spread of COVID-19 in BC. TRU's summer semester is now being delivered online, and most of our staff and faculty are currently still working from home. We are working hard to continue to offer quality academic classes and campus services, including our library and advising services, in a virtual format. That completes our updates for today. Over the next couple of weeks, our recruitment team will be reaching out to you to assist with your next steps, either directly or through your agent. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at welcome@tru.ca or connect directly with your agent. Thank you.
Thank you, Rayanne. So that was great. I will quickly move on back to here. All right. So thank you, Rayanne. Our next presenter is Laurie Robinson, who is from the International Training Center, and she will present to you on our summer transition program. So just give me a second here while I bring her online.
Hello, my name is Laurie Robinson. I'm the Director of International Partnerships and Business Development at Thompson Rivers University. I hope you're all staying safe during this very strange time we find ourselves in. I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to a new program that we've developed specifically for students that are planning to transition to TRU this fall. We've put together a university transitions program that's 3 weeks long. It starts on August 10th and goes till the 28th. Now it is offered in a virtual format, so it's online. You would be working directly with instructors, much like we're talking now in this kind of a video format. You'd be able to ask your instructors questions and receive feedback directly from them. You'll have one-on-one sessions with them. The program was intended for you to get comfortable with studying at TRU. So the instructors will go over study skills for success. They'll go over intercultural communication skills. There is a lot of Canadian culture content in this program. So you'll learn before you ever arrive in Canada about some of the Canadian culture. You'll increase your level of English, especially your speaking and listening skills. Now, for students coming into the program who are going to be taking ESL, this is a great way that you can prepare for your placement exams. So it gives you 3 weeks of practicing your English to prepare for that. If your language level is high, this program could still be for you. There's a lot of work in your pronunciation. Clearly I need to take the program, and listening skills. And we'll divide students into groups based on their language levels. So the whole point of the program was really to help you get comfortable with being at TRU. You'll meet students in other programs, you'll meet students from around the world, and it really is to reduce your stress and give you greater confidence so that you can be comfortable coming to study at TRU. Thank you for your time. If you would like more information on this program, please email globaltraining@tru.ca, and an address for the website will be included in the notes here, I believe, on the side. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you at TRU.
Sorry, I ended up cutting that call too quickly. Sorry, Laurie. But yeah, on behalf of Laurie, we look forward to seeing you on campus. All right, so now I would like to introduce you to our team that will be answering all your questions today. So on our team today, we have Zipping Feng, who is the Director of International Marketing and Recruitment. As I go about introducing, if you guys don't mind unmuting your mics and starting your cameras, that would be great. So Zipping Feng, who is the Director of International Marketing and Recruitment. Rayanne Rickett, who is my co-manager of International Marketing and Recruitment. That's Suraj Shah, that's me, that's the other manager. And then we have Ruben Onyango, who is the Manager of International Student Accommodation and Events and Engagement. So we will be answering all your questions today, and we see there's lots of questions in the chat already. And we will go through them one by one. So please feel free to continue posting your questions. And I'm just going to give this another minute for our panelists to join this session.
Good morning, everyone. And I hope everyone can hear me well. Greetings from Thompson Rivers University. I'm in the office today. This is a very special occasion, so I wanted to be in the office and say hi to everyone, especially the groups. If you belong to a group called TRU Troopers, hi, and we look forward to speak to you today.
Morning, everyone. Pleasure to join you this morning as well. As we get prepared for the fall, looking forward to answering a lot of your questions and just kind of getting a feel for how you're all feeling at the moment. So thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Ryan, yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully we can help you with some questions.
Awesome. So we might have some technical challenges today. Internet is not supporting the best, so I hope this session goes as smooth as possible. If there are challenges, feel free to post that in the comments as well so that we can work through them. All right, so I do have a bunch of questions here, and I will start asking them one by one. For the panelists, feel free to answer them as you may feel right. Like if you think you know the answer best for this question, please feel free and go ahead and answer that. If I think this question is specifically for you, I will address that to you. So our first question here today is, what will happen if there is still a travel restriction for fall and students are not allowed to travel to Canada?
So I would take that. Very valid question, and we have seen that the travel restrictions has been issued by the government towards visitors to Canada, and that travel restrictions are applying by many other countries as well. So in that case, we as a citizen, as a traveler, we have to follow the travel restrictions. So in terms of travel restrictions still exist, you cannot travel to Canada. And in that case, some of our 4 courses, fall semester courses, could be delivered through online, and you can possibly taking that course comfortably in your bedroom, at your home, and through the internet. So the travel restrictions, it's an ongoing process. The government are monitoring the involvement of the pandemic. So in case of there is it's safe to lift the travel restrictions, then the government will announce that, and after that people can travel to Canada. So we should all be monitoring the government announcements and follow and take actions according to those announcements.
Excellent. Thank you, Ziping. Our next question here is the study permit process going online? Do we have any updates about that from IRCC?
I think I can take that one. So if I heard that question correctly, is the study permit process going online?
That's correct.
Okay. So as far as I know, the most visa offices process applications submitted online. So that is how we're expecting that students are going to apply. And if that changes, then when the visa offices reopen, then IRCC will communicate, and we'll be happy to pass that on to students.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ruben. And just to add to that,
if I can add that, yeah.
Yeah, Ziping, go ahead, no problem.
I think I would suggest to students, if you're working with a recruitment agencies, please work with your agency to find the best way to submit your application. I think the digital portal from IRCC is available, but we do understand for each of the countries there might be some common practice. So please discuss with your agent and decide what's the best way for you to submit your application. But for individuals, students do check the IRCC website, specific sections to your country, and find out the guidance on that. And that will also tell you whether the visa center is open, whether the biometrics collection function is open. So you need to be aware of those, and they will have specific guidance for each of you to suggest you which is the best way for you to apply for your study permit. But if in case things are still closed, not open, that's fine. We will just have to wait a little bit further and be patient when get your documents ready. So when it is open, then you will be ready to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ziping. Our next question, I think this would be more relevant for Rayanne. So can we defer our September semester intake application to 2021 January? So can a student defer from September to January?
Yes, definitely. If you're not ready to come and request a deferral, there's no fee for that. Is complete a deferral request form and submit it directly to our international at iApply@TRU. You can find the form online, or you can contact us and we can send. Or if you're working with an agent, they can also provide that for you.
And I also wanted, if I can suggest, that student, you still have time between now and September. There are still a few months, and things might change, might evolve. I would not suggest anyone just make a decision for their fall enrollment yet. You still have time. Even you let us know in August you wanted to defer, we can help you with that. I just don't want everyone to make a decision now. And when if September is turning better, and if you want to roll back, that add lots of difficulties to our admission team, and it's really not recommended. So we would really suggest to everyone, if you have a September offer letter, stay, be ready and be prepared. And if you think that there is absolutely no way for you to take September courses, then you defer to January. But if you want to defer now, I think it's a little bit premature.
Right. That's correct. Thank you, Zipeng. And Ryan, our next question is, will the fall semester be conducted online?
That's a good point, Zipeng.
Can you hear Rayan? I cannot. I think Rayan today is on a very special location.
The borders are still closed, so we are preparing.
I think, yeah.
Right now?
It's a little bit of a challenge.
Oh.
Maybe.
Sorry, guys. So I'll try and answer the question. Sorry, I can't hear you now.
Ryan, do you want to turn off your cam and just keep your mic on? I think that might be a better way to do this. Okay.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. All right, great. So at this point, the borders for Canada are still closed. So we are preparing to offer our classes in alternate forms virtually. Those will mostly focus on classes that require experiential learning to begin with. And right now we're doing everything that we can to plan for a semester that is safe for everyone and will still give you the highest quality of academic experience. So again, the borders are closed. Should that change, then we will definitely be looking more towards face-to-face. But any face-to-face classes that are offered will have to follow the provincial health authorities guidelines for physical distancing and for group sizes. So it will look a little bit different. And that's why most classes are being planned to be delivered online at this point. The online classes, just so you know, the online classes will be different from our open learning classes. They will be delivered by faculty, and they will be paced. They'll be at set times during the day, and they'll be with one professor who designs and delivers the courses. So you will work through the courses as a cohort with the same group of students at the same schedule. So it's a little bit different from our regular open learning online classes.
Thanks, Ryan. There is a follow-up question to that. What if classes for fall commences online, but student gets a visa rejection? What happens in that case?
So if I can answer that question, we do suggest students only enroll in a course when their study permit is authorized, is approved. If your study permit is still under processing, or you have not received your study permit, I don't recommend you to enroll in any courses, because once the session's enrolled, you are considered registered students. If your visa is refused, hopefully not. I hope everyone will get their study permit. But if the visa is refused, then the class session has already started. There wouldn't be any refund towards that student. So we do suggest everyone only register to fall courses when you receive your study permit. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Zepeng. Our next question here, and I'm going to answer this one, is there any update on the offer for Master of Data Science? So the Master of Data Science was rolled out with two different, so we first had a pre-application, and those that were shortlisted have already been sent an invitation to apply for the actual application. And those that have actually already applied, the application deadline was May 1st, so that's already passed. So the ones that have submitted their application, you will hear from us shortly. Their final decision has not been made yet, so just stay tuned, keep checking your email. You will hear by the end of next week latest if you are to receive an offer letter or otherwise. Thank you. The next question here is, if I want to withdraw my admission after paying the fees, do I get a refund?
So I can answer this one.
Go ahead, Rhea.
Right now, thanks. So our refund policy is still in place. You can find that linked through your conditional offer letter if you've received that. It basically allows for refunds if you've had a visa rejection. If you have not had a visa rejection and you're just not sure that you want to come in September, or you're not ready to make a decision, we would recommend that you defer at this time. As Yiping mentioned, we still don't really know what September looks like in terms of borders being open or not. So there's no penalty to defer in August or closer to the start of the semester. So we would recommend that you wait to make that decision. And if you need to defer to give yourself a little bit of extra time, that's fine. If you have received a visa rejection in the meantime, then you are welcome to contact international admissions and request a refund. Conversely, if you've received a visa rejection and you'd like to try and reapply for your visa, you can also request a deferral in that situation.
Excellent. Thank you, Rayanne. Our next question is, what can a student who does not want online courses for fall do?
I can answer that question. This pandemic has posed so many things that we have not experienced before. And I don't recall in the history that the university has converted traditional face-to-face delivered courses through online. So while the online learning is a new experience for everyone, I do suggest that students maybe before you reject this learning method, keep an open mind. Some of our instructors are so used to technologies, and the modern technology also allowed the course alternative delivery will be in a live, interactive, and a very safe way of delivery, and the learning experience is not compromising in any ways. And as Rayanne mentioned, the alternative delivery is you will still study in a cohort, you will have the faculty to lead the lecture, and you will still be supported by the faculty if you have questions or doubts later, and you can still connect it with the faculty. So the only thing is you're not physically in the same classrooms with other students. So we do respect if students, they think online studying is very challenging for them. We will respect that. In that case, you can apply to defer to the next available semester, for example, in winter 2021. But we do recognize timing is very important for you if you are already prepared to enroll university. And we're introducing this new way of learning. We want you to take advantage of it. And sometimes you never know, you may find that experience is just as pleasant. And so if you have that thoughts, keep it and do a little bit of research on the online learning to see whether you will like it or not. And we'll do a follow-up email. We'll send you some sample links of those live courses for you to see if that's something you would like to participate in. So hold that thoughts. And if you wanted to defer to January, we will have our mission team will help you. But like I mentioned earlier, this might be a little bit too premature for you to determine you want to defer at this moment, because we're still a few months away from the September semesters. Hope my answer helps.
Thank you, Zepeng. The next question is for Ruben. So Ruben, are families allowed to live in any of the building dorms on campus?
So on campus, we have 3 residences at TRU. 2 are on campus, McGill residence and North Tower, and both do not have facilities to accommodate families. The residence right across the road from the campus, East Village, they have dorms and they also have apartments. And we have been in talks with them so that they will be able to accommodate students who are coming perhaps with their families or with a spouse or with kids. So what we'll suggest for now is that you reach out to your ISA, the International Student Advisor, and we will help you to get that sorted out.
Ruben, just to add to that question, I think sometimes students just bring their parents, or the parents want to join the students in the first 2-3 weeks of their time in Canada, just to make sure that the student settles in. So in that case, is there a provision for a parent to live on campus in the dorms, or should they find another option in campus?
Move-in is typically a busy time at the residences with students coming in and out. But the way it works is you're allowed to bring in your guests as long as your roommate is okay with your guest. Typically during move-in, they don't allow family and friends to stay over. So usually we will provide links to hotels and motels around Kamloops with our welcome letters that you will start receiving very shortly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Our next question is, if we decide to take the classes from our home country, how would you schedule a timetable given different time zones? And I think this question has come up a lot, is given the time zone difference and if students are expected to learn online, how would that work? What is the scenario going to look like?
Okay, I'll grab that. So once you're eligible to apply, register for fall courses, you can go to mytru.ca. At TRU, your MyTRU portal on the TRU website. So once you log in, you will see many courses that you're registered to. So for international student, you need to understand at TRU, each classes, even the same subject, might be offered in multiple sections. So that means the same course could be offered at 8 a.m. or could be offered at 7 p.m. So in that case, the schedule is being listed on the MyTRU portal. So I would suggest, depending on your living habit, if you're thinking evening is the best time for me to study, then you can choose the sections that best suit for your schedule. And if you think, oh, I would prefer during the day, then you probably choose our evening classes depending where you are. So there are some level of flexibility. It's not an absolute flexibility for you. So we would leave each student to do their best selection of the courses. And also, for example, if you're wanted to take these courses, but somehow the schedule just it doesn't work with your time zone, you can contact our admission office or advising team to have that session changed to a time slot that is most suitable for your time zone. So that can be done. So what I'm trying to say is, one course is quite often they'll have multiple sections for you to choose from. You always choose the one that's most suitable for you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ziping. And students, just to add to that, keep in mind that TRU offers exceptional support to our international students. We have lots of student advisors. We do have our local representatives in certain countries as well, where we will make sure that you receive the support you need to be able to go through this process. As I said, as Ziping mentioned, sorry, it's new for everybody, but we will make sure that you get the support you need, and it will not be hopefully it will not be very challenging. Our next question is for Ruben again. So Ruben, should we start applying for the on-campus residence if we already have the final letter of acceptance?
Absolutely. Residences fill up fairly quickly, and it's first come, first serve. So the earlier you get on it, the better your chances of getting the residence and the accommodation type that you're looking for. Keep in mind that the residence has moved to a different format. They no longer collect a security deposit, so your application fee, which is $100, is non-refundable. But any residence fees that you pay can be refunded. You just need to be aware of the cancellation deadlines. Otherwise, you will lose money if you cancel late. However, because we don't know how the fall semester is going to look like, at this point, if it turns out that we're not going to have a face-to-face fall semester and you apply for residence, then all your residence fees will be fully refundable.
Right. Thank you, Ruben. Our next question is, I'm going to just read it out. I think this has been asked in several different formats in the chat section. I'm concerned about online classes as I will not get the full experience as an international student. Will Thompson Rivers University lower the fees since online classes are different from in-person classes?
I can try this one if you want.
Yeah, thank you.
If you can hear me.
Yes.
So as I mentioned earlier, the online classes are not your typical online classes. So you're not going to be left on your own to figure out how to do the coursework and set your own schedule. You will be supported by your faculty members. You will be in a group with other students, and it will be a variety of different learning opportunities. So there may be some video, there may be some interactive chats, there will be group work. The content may change as you go. So it will be a good academic experience. I'm glad you asked this question. I can totally understand your concerns. But I think if you're planning to come to Canada to complete a bachelor degree or a diploma, we have to remember that this isn't going to be forever. And maybe the fall you may start at home, but eventually you will come to as a way to kind of gradually enter the Canadian education system from the comfort of your home. As far as the fees go, because these courses will be offered by TRU faculty and they will be a little bit more involved than the typical online courses. At this point, the fees are not expected to change from studying on campus. So, Ziping, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I do understand completely student thinking. You are thinking, I really wanted to study in Canada. I want to study in a campus, have all the access to the facilities and the services and the people. And we want that too. Unfortunately, this unprecedented COVID-19, the pandemic, prevent us to do so. But what I always admired international student is you guys are so adventurous, and you already chose something. It's so adventurous. You decide to leave your country and coming to a different country and to study your higher education. So I do wanted you to keep that spirit with you and open your mind. And what we learned is this pandemic locked us down inside of our homes, but also unintendedly open lots of opportunities. Do you know, as a future professionals, that maybe conducting an online meeting, participate in an online meeting, and deliver a webinar, delivering a lecture through online will be a critical skills for your future. So while we prefer you to, we would like to see you face to face, but maybe use this opportunity as a way to gain some additional skills you never thought you would easily gain. And that's part of the experience I hope you're not gonna refuse to. And also I want to remind the student, even though the course is delivered online, all our resources are still open. Think about it. You still have the login to our digital library. And nowadays, all the research articles, databases, the references are all widely available online digitally. And those resources are still available to you. So I do hope that we will have this open-minded And of course, we respect each individual's purpose and their timelines and their strengths are different. You might choose not to take that. That's totally fine. But I always wanted to encourage you, take this opportunity. You will be surprised at that the additional bonus you'll receive from that online experience. So keep that in mind.
Thanks, Ziping. Our next question is, when is the deadline to pay additional fees like medical insurance and other fees?
Maybe I'll take a stab at
So in your conditional offer, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So in the conditional letter of acceptance, your tuition and general fees are indicated, and for students who are coming for the first time as well, the medical insurance for your first 3 months, the guard insurance is included. So unless I stand to be corrected, you're expected to pay all those fees before you get your final letter of acceptance, which you require for your visa application. Thank you. Ryan, you want to add something to that?
That's right. And just to remind you, yeah, sorry, that's exactly right, Ruben. And just to remind you that we are extending the deadline for those payments to June 15th, in case you need some extra time to get your finances together.
Yes. So just to clarify that, June 15th is now the new deadline for making your fee payments. You do not need to send a separate email to international admissions requesting for your deadline to be changed to a particular date or anything like that. As long as your payment comes in on or before June 15, you will still receive the final letter of acceptance.
I also want to remind the student, take action quickly. If you have you're able to pay right now, pay it as soon as possible, because the step is that once you paid the tuition fees, the official letter of acceptance will be issued to you. So you can use that letter to move to the next step of your coming to Canada process to submit your visa application. Without a letter of acceptance, you cannot start your visa application process. So do it quickly. We extended the timeline, but you don't have to wait until June to make the payment. You can, if you have it ready, pay it as soon as possible, so your letter of acceptance will be issued.
Yes, thank you, Ziping. Our next question is, if borders open, do we have to quarantine ourselves for 14 days upon arrival? And how will TRU support that quarantining process, self-quarantining process?
Okay, I'll take a stab at that. So at this point, the travel restrictions have not been lifted, and by the time the government lifts those restrictions, there will be a plan for what's going to happen with anybody who's coming in. At this time, it's required that anybody who's coming in is self-isolating for 14 days and is required to provide a plan upon arrival. So that is the assumption we're going to go with now. And as we keep that in mind, that we have lots of students who are coming for the fall semester, we on this side are working very hard to try and work on a few plans that will ensure that students have somewhere that they can self-isolate for 14 days. And we're also coming up with a support system in place so that, students are needing things like groceries, we'll be able to take care of that. So for right now, we'll say stay tuned, and let's wait to hear what the government's directions are, and then we'll work from there, and we'll be sure to send you frequent updates.
Thank you, Ruben. Just a reminder that we're 10 questions away at this time. We still have 10 more questions to cover. We are a little bit short of time here. It's 9:50 a.m. Pacific time here, so we have about 10 to 20 minutes to go through. So if you have any final questions, post them in the chat box so that those can also be included in these questions. But we still do have some really solid questions that we will now address. So our next question is, what if we are not able to apply for visa due to the pandemic? What if there's just no way to apply for the visa? In that case, what should the student do?
Again, at this time, we're waiting for direction from IRCC. A lot of the visa offices and visa application centers remain closed. So even though students might be able to submit an application, they are not being processed. And because you're coming to Canada for the first time, when you apply for your study permit, when you get that approval, you get a visa automatically with it. So I think right now you just need to be patient. And when the process gets going again, you're applying for a study permit, but you do get a visa to allow you to come to Canada to study.
Thank you, Ruben. Our next question is, if I have a tourist visa and my application cannot be processed in time, can I attend classes in TRU while it is being processed? Or is it better to wait until my student visa is approved to go to TRU? So I think because the student has a tourist visa, they could come to Canada potentially. But can they start studying at TRU with a tourist visa?
Again, good question. Students who are enrolled in a program that is 6 months or longer in duration are required to have a study permit. So you would not be able to begin your studies with a tourist visa.
Thanks, Ruben. The next question is IELTS mandatory now due to the pandemic? And I'm going to answer that question in two parts. The first thing is we are now accepting Duolingo because there are countries that are not IELTS centers in certain countries are not open due to the pandemic. So if you are unable to get your IELTS, you can take the Duolingo, which is basically from home using artificial intelligence. You can take that test and we can offer you the letter on the basis of that. However, there are countries that fall under the SDS visa category, which is also called a study direct stream. If you belong to that one of those countries, which is India, China, Philippines, or Vietnam, we also have Pakistan and Morocco and Senegal. So if you belong to any of these countries, in that case, what you would have to do is get your CLOA and then either apply through the general route, or if by that time, if the IELTS center is open, then you can still take your IELTS and apply to the SDS route. For this, you can work with your agent closely and find a way to get your visa as soon as possible, because that's definitely the only thing that's stopping you. But for your conditional letter of acceptance, we are accepting Duolingo, so you can take the Duolingo online exam. Our next question is, does the price of residences include meals?
No, the price of residence does not include meals, but the university has a dining card program where you can purchase different denominations, add them to your card, and then you can use those at any of the food outlets on campus.
Awesome. Thank you, Ruben. Our next question, maybe Rayan could answer this. How long will it take to receive a response from the admissions team after application? There are students that are waiting to hear from international admissions. How long should they continue waiting?
Okay, sure. So our international admissions team, like most of our staff, are working from home now. So they have had a little bit of a lag in processing times just due to the transition to home. But in general, if your application, once you submit your application online, you should immediately receive a confirmation number. If you've received that, then you can assume that admissions has received your application. They should be in touch with you within a few days to let you know if there are any documents missing from your application, and you can expect a conditional offer for most programs, especially undergrad and open programs, within 5 to 10 business days. For master's programs, the process for approving those applications is quite a bit longer. They go through a selection committee, which is outside of the International Admissions Office. So right now for graduate programs, including all of the master's degrees, we're looking at approximately 4 to 6 weeks processing time from the time that you submit your completed application until you receive a letter. For some programs which are competitive admission, such as the Master of Data Science, nursing, programs like that, the applications are all reviewed at the same time after the deadline has passed. So you won't likely hear anything on those until a week or two after the deadline has passed. So if you're still waiting for an application and you haven't heard anything, or waiting for a letter, sorry, and you haven't heard anything at all from admissions, you should contact your agent or admissions directly at iApply at TRU.ca. But if it's within those timeframes that I just mentioned, you can assume that your application is being processed and you should hear from admissions soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Our next question is so there's a student who got their visa, but due to the COVID-19 situation, they cannot go to TRU to study anymore. So they do have a visa, but because of the pandemic, they're unable to come to Canada. In that case, can they get a refund for registration or as well as residence fees because they've paid both?
Really depending on the choice of the courses the students enrolled in. So COVID-19 doesn't stop TRU from fall course delivery, as you probably have heard from TRU, or if you go to tru.ca/COVID-19, you will see the latest update. TRU is committed to offer a full range of courses for September, either through face-to-face or alternative delivery model. So I think if students are concerning about their course will be canceled, that's not likely to happen. So we would encourage a student to continue their study plan, and also only be prepared that the course might not be, some of the courses might not be delivered face-to-face. And in case student already received the study permit, and in that case, we would not, we will be accommodating student to defer to the next semester if for any reason you cannot enroll in September. But refund, because we have to maintain the integrity of the study permit you received, the refund policy, refund rule still apply to that student. So please read that refund rule that is indicated in your conditional offer letter.
Thank you, Ziping. Our next question is, what is the part-time job situation like in Kamloops after the pandemic?
Maybe I can take that one. Maybe I'll just answer the part of the other question that was asked about the fees. So residence fees at this point would be fully refundable. The cancellation fees don't kick in until June 15th. Part-time job situation in Kamloops. So with a pandemic, we have, lots of businesses had to close or drastically reduce the services that they offer. So people were laid off. But just yesterday, we got some really good news. The premier of the province announced a plan to restart the economy again. And this is going to be done in several phases. And we expect that as we slowly go back to a new normal, students will get back to work, the economy will pick up. And I mean, traditionally speaking, students have been able to find jobs in Kamloops without too much trouble. Some students find jobs right when they get here. For some, it takes a while longer, but in general, majority of students are able to find work. So I wouldn't worry about it too much right now.
I also want to comment on during this COVID-19, because there are lots of frontline workers are helping the community to continue to have enough food, enough supply, and our international students have contributed so much in that in those positions. When you go to the grocery stores, some restaurants, drive-thrus, you see lots of the international students are working on the front line, and the community really appreciate it for their contribution in this challenging time. And many of them are required to work long hours, and they are really being essential part of the community living. So we thank you to our international students for that contribution.
Thank you, Ziping and Ruben. Our next question is, if I defer my seat to winter intake, so if I defer to winter intake, do I still have to pay by June 15, or do I have more time?
Okay, I can take this question. So if you defer to January, you will receive a new conditional offer letter that will be updated to reflect the winter deadlines and dates. But just keep in mind that you can defer either conditional offer letter or a final offer letter. So again, there's no need to rush with your decision to defer. If you want to wait until June 15th to see if you're able to make the payment and then make your decision after that to defer, that's totally fine. And if you do decide to defer to January 15th, you will probably get a new deadline. And if you have any questions about that when you receive that letter, you can let us know.
Excellent. Thank you, Ryan. Our next question is, due to COVID-19 situation, I'm unable to get the medical test and further my visa application process. I have paid my fees and got the final offer letter. Please suggest how to apply for my study permit without the medical exam, or how that looks like.
So at this time, IRCC is not waiving the requirement for biometrics or the medical exam. So your application will not be processed until those two items are taken care of. And I think this is a lot of our students are in this situation, so it's not a situation that's unique to one student. And I'm sure that IRCC is working on a plan so that when they reopen, they'll be able to deal with the backlog that's happening. But as of this moment, there is no alternative to waiting to submit your biometrics and medical exam results.
Okay, thank you.
I
Ruben.
do, however, suggest a student to work with your agents or by yourselves if you don't have an agent. Submit your study permit application online, digitally, so you are in the system. There are still lots of factors preventing you to take the biometrics test, and the IRCC, the immigration people, they know that. But once your application in the system, you will be the first one to be called when the biometric center is open, or you were able to be traveled to get your biomedical done. And also, if you received our communications, we mentioned that IRCC has extended that biometric test deadlines to 90 days. You were originally given 30 days to finish that, but that automatically extended to 90 days. So you will, once it's open, you should be able to do that. But be prepared. At this moment, I think anything, if not happen right away or restricted, but get your things ready and be prepared. So once it's reopened, you are ready to move forward.
Okay, thank you, Zapeng. Our next question is, should we still apply for residence if the course is held online?
I don't think it, at this moment, it's, we're applying for residence and assuming that, we're going on the assumption that there's a good chance we'll have a face-to-face fall semester. But if those plans don't work out, then again, residence fees will be refundable. But we don't know that yet. So in order to keep your spot in residence, we'd say for right now, you should still submit the application.
Thanks, Ruben. Our next question is, if the online semester starts in September and the flights start in October, will we have to wait for the semester to end, or can we still fly in October and come to Canada?
I'll take that. Okay, so as soon as the borders are reopened, it will be possible for students to start traveling to Canada, of course, keeping in mind that you'll be required to self-isolate or whatever other instructions IRCC will have at the time. But if we do start by alternative delivery format, then even if you're traveling to Canada, that should not impact you too much. So at this point, let's just wait to see what the government decides. But as soon as the borders are open and there's a plan to allow temporary residents to come in, you should be able to travel without any problem and without any impact to your studies. Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben. Our next question is, sorry, just a second. So before I go to this one, I actually have a few questions that came in through WhatsApp. And I think one of them is with regards to the online transition program offered by the International Training Center. So the question is, what is the payment of a $750 for? Isn't this training involved in our tuition fee? Is it compulsory for all fall students to take the transition program?
I can answer that. The transition program is really prepared for students who thinks they needed a little bit additional help with their English studies, with their better preparation for university life. It's not traditionally, it's not part of your curriculum. It's not included in the fees students already paid. However, if you are going to study some ESL courses at Thomson Rivers at the beginning of your semesters, it's recommended to consider this because that will help you to improve your English. Hopefully that can reduce the time and courses you're taking once you get to TRU. So it's not, to answer your question, it's not part of your curriculum, and it's additional fees that students will need to pay. And if you say already have a pretty good English, if your English proficient qualified for direct entry, not likely this courses will help you that much compared to students who needed English upgrading.
Okay, thank you, Zapeng. Last few questions here. So the next one here is, are we still liable to pay $180 in medical insurance and if the classes are online?
Maybe I'll take that and then I'll get Ryan to add on. But when we welcomed new students to Canada, you're not eligible for the government issued insurance for your first 3 months, and that is what this cost is for. The fee is now required as part of your conditional acceptance to TRU, and you need to pay it before you get your final letter of acceptance. However, if we don't have students coming in the fall, then that charge will not be applied to your account and will just stay as a credit that can be used in future. Ryan?
So that means if you're staying, that insurance only covers you when you actually arrived in Canada. So before you arrive, it won't cost you anything. That fee will stay in the credit in your account.
All right, thank you. Our last question here is...
That's right. So as of now, it is part of the deposit that's required for you to receive your final letter. But if it's determined that you don't need to come to Canada, or that you're not able to come to Canada and the insurance is not required, then as Ruben said, it will what that situation is. So for now, you do need to pay it.
Okay. Thank you. We have just one or two more questions. So the next one here is, sorry, actually, just give me a second. All right, so the next one is, that is the last one. Please reconfirm the visa submission deadline and payment deadline.
Okay, so as we mentioned, the payment deadline for the fall semester has been extended to June the 15th. But again, please keep in mind the visa processing times for your country may not allow you to get a visa in time if you wait until June 15th. So if you are able to pay now, then you should pay now and get started with that process. But the deadline is officially June 15th on TRU's end. Our visa confirmation deadline right now is August the 1st. If there may be some flexibility with that if the situation doesn't allow for visas to be processed by then, but we will keep you posted until then. But for now, you should try to get your application started and work towards the August 1st deadline.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. There is one more question here about permanent residency, and I hope, Ruben, you could probably address that question. So we have a student that's asking, with studying online, how does that affect PR later on? Does it affect the process because PR might need some years of you being in Canada? So that's part one of the question. Part two is something that I'm going to add is when it comes to postgraduate work permit, you're also required to stay in Canada for a certain number of time? How does that work out with studying online from your home country?
That's a good question. IRCC has been quite flexible with the COVID-19 pandemic affecting, traffic of students coming into Canada. Students at this point, as long as they have a valid study permit, are allowed to begin their studies online. Keeping in mind that you're not allowed to take more than 50% of your program online. So at this point, even if you started your courses from back home, you're still going to be eligible for the post-graduation work permit. And the post-graduation work permit is the most common pathway to permanent residence for many students. So at this point, to answer your question, there is no impact starting online.
All right. So there is just one more question that I'm going to include. Everybody else, this is the last question that I'm going to ask before we do the final thoughts. This one is actually a little bit interesting because it makes me think about something else as well. And I don't know if our panelists have an answer to that. So the question is, can you please ask regarding working here in our home country while we opt for studying online? Because IRCC does have working hour restrictions. So that is one of the things. And the second thing is taxes and how that gets affected because you are a full-time student at a Canadian university. So technically you're deemed to be in Canada by IRCC. Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So the question is, one sec, I'm going to read that out again. Can you please provide more information on working from your home country while you are studying online? Does that matter? Like, can students still work in their home countries while they're studying online for the first semester for September?
I would suggest that do consider online studying is nothing less than the workload involved in that, nothing less than you do it face-to-face. And sometimes a student do provide the feedback that the online study, remember the online study is not the only time that you committed to that lecture. There are lots of homeworks, researches, group works, connecting with your peer students involved in that. So I do wanted you to allocate certain amount of time, depending on how many courses you taking. I don't know if you're taking full course load. I wouldn't think working on the side will help you in any ways because you'll be feeling like overloaded with your life. So we don't recommend you're taking full-time online courses and working in your home country. Whether you do taxation related, that is really you have to follow your local government's rules on that. I cannot comment that because that's not a Canadian jurisdiction to comment on that. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Ziping. So let's now round up this town hall with some final thoughts. And let's start with Rayanne, followed by Ruben, and then followed by Ziping, with just your final thoughts and final words for our viewers and our students. Thank you. Rayanne still might be facing some technical challenges. In that case, Ruben, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So the COVID-19 pandemic has created a lot of challenges for not only for institutions but for students who are wanting to come to study in Canada. But on the other hand, it's created some really good opportunities for innovation, and it's taught us that students are resilient. Students are still interested in pursuing their education in Canada. Students are still interested in giving their best towards a future that they have planned for. And we're doing everything that we can on this end to ensure that, even though you might not get the start that you are looking for with your Canadian education, it'll still be a very good quality education that you're getting. You're still going to be getting the same support that you would get if you were in Canada. However, it'll be online, still able to attend immigration workshops. You're still able to connect to the international student advisors, the program advisors, academic advising. So, we're doing everything that we can so that, one day we'll all look back at this and we'll see it as it was an unfortunate situation that helped us to grow. So thank you for being patient, and thank you for keeping your interest in TRU, and we look forward to welcoming you and meeting you in person one day soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Shubin. Zipping, would you like to go next?
For sure. It's absolutely a pleasure for us to meet virtually to answer your questions. And you are all very dear in our hearts. And this is the second live session we have done. I hope you will continue to communicate with us. And we are planning maybe the third or the fourth town hall in the future. All we are doing is to make sure that to keep you all informed with what's happening here in Canada, and we also wanted to listen to your concerns. And this week, while we're communicating with you, my colleagues, the international student advisors, they are doing a phone campaign to call our current student, the student who already enrolled in TRU, to reach out to them to ask how they're doing, whether they have any challenges taking the courses or with their life. So you are always in our mind, and our job is to make sure our student get the best support they can. And this is an unprecedented time, and I do want to say is facing all the challenges we're having, you're not alone. And you're not the only ones facing that challenge. It's a global pandemic, and everyone's get affected. And I do wanted to remind everyone in this challenging time, we should do our parts. And British Columbia has done exceptional well in this global pandemic. Our the curve is being flattened, and the pandemic situation is definitely are going ease the community, and there are some reopening plans being announced. We just need to be a little bit patient. And I want to remind the student, when you're at home, stay safe and stay healthy yourself. So when you given the opportunity to come to Canada, you are in your best condition. And so you will start your course right away and without any disruptions. So please do your part and be kind with each other. This is not forever. This is just for now. And as our provincial health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry said, this is just for now. This is not forever. And we look forward to welcome you in the future. And please stay connected with us and share your thoughts with us. And we would like to hear from you. And meanwhile, I wish you a very successful and enjoyable summer. And if you see outside, it's a sunny day in campus. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. We hope we can share that scene with you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Zipping. Rianne, are you still online? Are you around here?
Rianne's on a satellite internet connection, so that's why it's a little bit bumpy today. Okay. But I think she's disconnected. Yeah.
All right. So with that, we will end this session today. Just from my end, I just wish you guys all the best, and I hope you guys find your peace in this situation. We are here for you. Please remember that we are here to support you, to answer all your questions. You already know who your point of contact at TRU is. If you're an agent, if you're a partner, you know who you're working with. If you're a student, please feel free to contact your agent first. Your agent will have most of the answers. And then if not, then you are more than welcome to contact one of us. You can always go to truworld.ca and visit our website for more information. And we also have our social media accounts for you to follow. That will give you a good idea on what we're up to. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you all in Kamloops as well. But until then, I look forward to definitely experiencing this new interesting time with you. So with that, we're going to end this session. I do have one final video. I will now request the panelists to turn their mics and cam off so that we can play the final video to conclude this session. Thank you.
The world needs you. to create. The world needs you to create, to question, to care. At Thompson Rivers University, choose your path, and we'll help you get there every step of the way. On campus or online. Shape the world you want to see and find your TRU.